share with us now what exciting things are happening now?
Glad you asked. So anyways, there's a lot of neat things going on. There's this whole new realm of business called space tourism and private space travel, where actual individuals can pay money to go up in outer space. It's still in the very early stages, just like in the airplane industry. It was back in the 1910s, 1920s. Airlines were just starting off. It was still kind of like the barnstorm era. And that's where we're in right now. It's the barnstorming era. And
Why do they call it that?
well, because they're still learning how to fly. They're still learning the basics of, okay, what is a rocket ship? What's the best way to get from point B to point C, up there, or point A to point B, way up there, and which is way the heck up there. And they are trying to figure out how to do it safely so that folks can, regular human beings and not supermen like astronauts, can go. So the challenge is to make it safe, reliable, and fun. Because astronauts have to go through a lot of training, and it can be kind of rough and kind of dangerous, and they have to be very technical. And for us regular folks, it's kind of overwhelming. It's like what this is all about, and you know, we can't relate to it.
Right.
But you want to know what's going on today. So there's events like the X Prize. Back in 2004, the X Prize was a $10 million competition for the first private. Sorry, I have to look over here. Sorry.
We got to keep you focused.
Keep me focused. I'm looking at the camera. Yeah.
Okay.
Look, there you go. Perfect.
Okay.
Look over there. Make it easier.
Good idea,
Okay.
Mira.
So, events that are happening now related to space travel. There's a thing called the X Prize. And for the past several years, they had a $10 million competition for the first privately built, privately operated spaceship that could fly to the edge of space. The prize was won in 2004 by a company owned by a guy named Burt Rutan out in the Mojave Desert. He happens to be one of the most famous airplane designers in the world. He basically reinvented the airplane over and over again.
Wow.
He has 3 aircraft in the Smithsonian Institution right now, so he's pretty good. So he won the competition, and now he's working with a guy named Richard Branson and a company called Virgin Galactic to build the first fully reusable rocket ship for commercial use and for basically suborbital joyrides.
Okay, so you told us that there are people who have traveled to space for a fee of $20 million, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And now with Virgin Galactic and this partnership, we will be able to travel to space for $200,000?
It's getting there. It's getting there. 5 people have actually spent $20 million apiece to fly into outer space. And those people are like billionaires. And some of them are none of them are really famous. It's just simply they happen to have the money around. Like the last guy who flew a few weeks ago, his name was Charles Simoni. He invented Microsoft Word, Excel. So yeah, he's doing okay. And so his girlfriend's Martha Stewart. So a lot of his events his girlfriend's Martha Stewart, and a lot of what he was doing was showcased on her show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he flew up there in outer space, and he did a bunch of stuff for different companies and different government agencies, started doing some scientific research, plus just simply enjoying vacation time. And he did a lot of interviews with high school kids around the world. So that's what he did. That's kind of out of the range of most of us. But there are projects right now, like with the Virgin Galactic, where you can actually do these flights to space, which will be coming up in about 2009, where you pay $200,000 and fly to the edge of space and come back same day. And they're working on that right now.
Are people already booking those trips?
The first 100 seats are booked. They're working on the second 100, and that's almost full now. It's gotten a lot of global publicity. The travel agencies have actually sent 100 people to be trained to be travel agents to sell tickets for this particular program.
Wow, amazing.
It's now in the Neiman Marcus catalog, and several of the other elite high-end books or magazines that sell, like sports cars and yachts and things like that. So it's one of those elite things that elite people do. So it's still not yet there at the level for regular folks, but it's getting there. So 20 million to 200,000, not bad.
And what about zero gravity?
Now with zero gravity, you can do that today. There is a company based in Florida called Zero Gravity Corporation, and they do flights in different parts of the country where you can actually get a few seconds of weightlessness, like literally like floating around and all that stuff. Because it's here on Earth, you only have a limited amount of time, and so the airplane does these little, let's see if I can do this, parabolic flights. They're called parabolas. Parabolas up and down. And during the downward phase, you get up to 30 seconds of floating. And then you go up, and of course you get like 1.8 Gs, and you feel like an elephant sitting on your stomach.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And you go down. So they do about 20 or 30 of these flights. Each one gets gradually more extreme. So you get the first few flights is like, okay, first hops are like you're walking on the moon. Next ones are like walking on Mars. And after that, it's like you're just floating.
That's great.
And a couple weeks ago, Stephen Hawking, the famous physicist, had his first experience up there floating.
That's great.
Yeah. So that's for a mere $3,000.
Wow. That's great.
That's all it takes.
Space tourism doesn't have to be in outer space.
Oh, okay.
Space tourism can be here on the ground. In fact, the mere fact that you go to a science center, you go to the Kennedy Space Center, you go to any of the NASA facilities, like JPL had their open house a few weeks ago, and there were like thousands of people there. That's considered a form of space tourism. Anything related to space activity, whether it's doing vacations, going to Disneyland, going to one of those, there's a space pavilion over at the Epcot Center, stuff like that. Those are called space tourism, technically. So you can do a lot of stuff here on the ground. And for the vast majority of people, that's all they're ever going to do. They're going to do fun stuff here on the ground, just going to the rides, going to exhibits, doing the museum thing. That's it. And then the next level is people have more money where they can do the zero gravity rides and stuff like that. Okay?
That's great. Spaceman Sam, we thank you so much for sharing your passion about space travel with us tonight.
Thank you very much. It was very enlightening.
Very.
You're welcome.